Welcome everyone to our summer Cook with OC program today. Before we begin, Osteoporosis Canada acknowledges the land that our offices, located in Toronto, are on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. My name is Tracie Napoli, Director of Fund Development and MARCOM at Osteoporosis Canada, and I will be your host for today. Thank you to Get Cracking for their partnership with this cooking demo webinar. Now, this cooking demo will provide general information about cooking and food knowledge. It is not intended as individualized health or nutrition advice. But if you have questions about nutrition, please consult a physician or registered dietitian. Now, during the webinar, we want to hear from you. So if you have a question or a comment, you can click the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen and enter it there. You can also place it in the chat. We will do our best to answer as many questions as we can during the webinar within the time available. Nutrition is a key component for strengthening and maintaining healthy bones, as well as in the prevention and management of osteoporosis. We are working to provide strategies, new ideas, and develop recipes like the one featured today to help you get the bone-building nutrients needed for bone health. Osteoporosis Canada recommends that whenever possible, to get calcium and protein through food sources. Including protein in your diet at every meal benefits muscle and bone health. Some examples are eggs, beef, fish, white beans, chickpeas, nuts, milk, yogurt, and cheese. Now, eggs are the featured ingredient in today's cooking demo, and eggs are an excellent source of protein and contain healthy fats and many nutrients like vitamins A, D, E, choline, iron, and folate. Eggs are one of the few foods that naturally contain vitamin D necessary for bone health, as it aids in the absorption of calcium. Now, even when consuming foods with vitamin D, Osteoporosis Canada recommends routine vitamin D supplementation for adults year-round. Also, make sure to eat a variety of foods, including fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and foods that contain calcium like yogurt, cheese, legumes, broccoli, bok choy, and almonds. Today's featured recipe is a new take on a classic, Green Bean Carbonara, with 34 grams of protein and 400 milligrams of calcium per serving. Eggs are a quick, easy, and delicious way to help meet our protein requirements, and this recipe has 2 eggs per serving. You can get this recipe and others at osteoporosis.ca/recipes. I will also put the link in the chat. It's now my pleasure to welcome Emily Richards, a professional home economist, freelance food writer, chef, and she is the author and co-author of 10 cookbooks. Emily also writes and develops recipes for print and online publications that include everyday cooking and healthy eating, and can be found on TV, radio, and webcasts just like this one. Please welcome Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hey, Tracie. Thanks so much. And hey, everybody. It's hump day. Happy hump day, Tracie. It's Wednesday.
Yay. It's recipe cooking demo day. Yay. So excited. Our summer cooking demo is here.
I know, it's great. And it's a little bit cloudy, a little overcast here in Guelph. But that's a great time. Actually, any day, any weather. It's always great to be in the kitchen cooking. So it's good.
Absolutely. And just before you get started, as you can see, Emily is modeling a lovely Osteoporosis Canada apron. And we have one up for grabs. Whoops. I don't know if you can see it. It's okay. You can see the one Emily is wearing. So if you're on this webinar and you are on at the end of the webinar, I will randomly draw a name and we will ship you one of our Osteoporosis Canada unbreakable aprons. So Emily, let's get cracking.
Good one. I was waiting how long it would take for you to say that. We are using one of my favorite ingredients. Actually, we're using a few of my favorite ingredients today. One of them, for sure, right off the bat, eggs. I probably pull out eggs at least once a day. And for dinner, they're great. They're, first of all, very quick and easy, and they taste great. So you can think about how many times over the course of a week you use eggs, and do the math in your head. It can be pretty often, especially if they're a pantry staple. They're in the refrigerator and they're handy to have. So today we're going to be using them. We're actually going to be cooking them 2 different ways in one recipe. And I know that may sound like it's complicated, but trust me, it's totally not. This is a really fast recipe, and it's only going to take long because I'm talking to you. And then I talk to Tracie, and Tracie talks to me. So trust me, when you're making this at home with the sole focus of getting this on the table, it will not take any time at all. So you'll see I have eggs out. I thought I'd throw it a little bit. We could do a little trivia here if you want to, type out answers. I'd say shout it out, but Tracie's really the only one that can shout it out at this point. But just a few little fun things, fun facts. I've been lucky enough, I go into schools, I've done other webinars, and talking about eggs. And it's great. What's great is talking about eggs with kids, because they are so interested in eggs, and so are adults. But there's lots of little fun facts that even adults don't know. So one of the things that I always start off with is, what's the difference between a white egg and a brown egg? So it's really, really simple. If any of you know the answer, you can type it in the chat. And I'm going to tell you, you don't have to wait for the answer, but there is no difference. Nutritionally, they're exactly the same. The difference is the color of the shell on the outside. And guess what? The brown chickens lay the brown eggs, and the white chickens lay the white eggs. So there you go. And they're the same. Sometimes some people will tell me, oh, well, the brown eggs seem a little bit bigger, Emily. So, are they better? Well, sometimes those brown chickens are actually a little bit larger. So that's why their eggs are a little bit bigger. That's all. We are using large eggs in the recipe. And that's kind of a standard in a lot of North American recipes. And they're easy to find in the grocery store in these lovely containers. I use a lot of eggs. You can see it's a pack of 18 here. I have another dozen in the fridge. We eat eggs and love them. But this is, as Tracie mentioned, a carbonara that we're doing. But it's not a traditional carbonara. It doesn't have, traditionally it has guanciale or some sort of pork. You might have had it with bacon or a smoked meat of some sort. We're leaving all the meat behind today, and we're actually going to make this vegetarian with the eggs, because eggs offer up that wonderful amount of protein. They're going to add creaminess in 2 ways. So I'll stop talking now and get cooking. I am going to turn this pot of water on. This is what takes the longest in the recipe, is getting this pot of water to boil. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it's already boiled maybe twice, because I wanted to make sure that it was good and hot. So this recipe is great for small households. It is to serve 2 people. Now, if you need a larger amount, guess what? You just have to double it. It's that easy. And I'm using spaghetti. So you'll need about 6 ounces of spaghetti. And if you're thinking already, well, I don't have a scale, what am I supposed to do? You can actually purchase pasta boxes that are 375 grams, so about a little bit more than 12 ounces. Just use half that box. And in the recipe, if you've already taken a look at it, I have my copy here. It says spaghetti with added fiber. And if you're wondering, like, what the heck is that? Well, it'll say right on the box, with added fiber. Okay, so this is white pasta that has additional fiber in it. So you're getting the benefits of having a whole wheat pasta. Perhaps that's not your favorite, but you're getting that wonderful texture of a white pasta. Okay, so you can see the steam's coming out, it's bubbling away here. I'm actually going to add the pasta right in, because the amount of time that it takes to basically cook the beans and put the pasta together is the amount of time the pasta needs to cook. So I've already measured out the 6 ounces of pasta, the spaghetti that I need, and I put salt in the water already. Okay, that's kind of a big one for a lot of people, is how much salt do I put in the water? So I have a nice big pot of water. I estimate about a tablespoon of salt. Now, if you are not a salt user, you don't have to put salt in it, because you know what? You're going to get the flavor of the Parmesan cheese in here. So I'm just going to move this out of the way, and it's a hot pot. So I'm just going to put it on my back burner here. And Tracie, you cannot let me forget that this pot is going to be boiling back here. Okay, just
I won't. Do you want me to put the timer on?
Tell me when it's about 5 minutes, because I want to make sure that I'm
5 minutes?
paying
Okay,
attention. Yeah,
I will do that. Remember, everyone, we don't want to have our pasta overcooked, right?
that's right. There's actually a couple reasons why, because ew.
Yes. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to be the one.
Who wants mushy pasta? But the other reason is we really don't want to overcook the pasta so that it kind of gets gooey and starchy. We really want that nice texture that works really well with the creaminess of the eggs and the Parmesan that we're using. But the next thing we're going to do is work with our green beans. So I'm talking pantry staples already. Eggs, for sure. Spaghetti, probably. What about frozen veg? Green beans. These are something that, believe it or not, I have 5 people in my family. All 5 of us eat green beans. That doesn't happen. It's a rarity in a lot of families. So I'm going to use green beans, and it adds a really nice, lovely color in the dish as well. So bringing kind of that spring summery feel to it. And I always have them in the freezer, which is fabulous. So if you're thinking, this is great, Emily, I don't really like green beans, what are my options? Lots of options. You can use other green vegetables. Let's say you made broccoli the night before. You could add the broccoli in here. You could also add some Swiss chard, you have kale, any kind of green vegetable that you have around, because this method of cooking it is just in a skillet. It will cook everything within that same amount of time. So you'll see I added just a little bit of, I'm just using a neutral oil here. You could use any oil that you have on hand. If you wanted to, you can even use a little bit of butter, okay? But I really want the beans, and I just pulled them out of the freezer, okay? So these are just regular green beans. These ones happen to be extra fine, is what it says on the bag, but you could use even just kind of the little chopped green beans. Those would work as well. And we need about 1.5 cups. So if you're wondering how I'm going to measure 1.5 cups, I'm just going to grab my measuring cup, okay, my dry measuring cup, and just pour it in. Now, if by chance you got a little bit more than 1.5 cups, not really the end of the world. There's 1 and about 1/2. If you want to go to 2, you can do that too, okay, and just get those in there. Now we are going to add a little bit of flavor. These, I'm going to season them with just a little bit of salt. And then I'm also going to add some fresh herbs. I have some chopped parsley that I'm adding, okay? Now, I don't know if any of you are gardeners out there. If you have a beautiful garden with lots of fresh herbs, this is kind of, the world is your oyster. I'm just adding about a tablespoon of parsley in here. My parsley looks great. My basil's doing really well. My mint, out of control. But those 3 herbs I mentioned, because any of those 3 would work beautifully in this dish, okay? You can get that nice fresh mint flavor, which works really nicely with the green beans and the eggs. Basil has that nice sweetness that goes well, and parsley, of course, is all purpose. So any of those will work really well, okay? So I put these in frozen, and they're just going to cook up. Now, a couple of things that we're going to look for are kind of the frostiness of the frozen green beans to go away. But I also want to get a little bit of color on these and blister them. Doesn't that sound nice when you're blistering vegetables? You can do this with tomatoes or other green veg, even carrots. And what that means is that they're just going to get a nice caramelization on the outside, a little bit of browning, and it adds a nice little bit of flavor, almost a bit of nuttiness to the vegetable, but also a little bit of extra color to the dish itself, okay? So this is going to take about 5 minutes or so. I am going to go stir that pot of spaghetti. I don't want to forget about those, okay? And you want to make sure that you are stirring your spaghetti, have lots of room to kind of move around in that water so nothing is sticking. And I already have the colander in the sink ready to go, okay? So everything's kind of happening. Do we have any questions, Tracie? I guess I'm just kind of talking here. I should probably ask if there's any questions yet.
That is okay. We're just, and I'm timing you. So we have about a minute before you have to check the pasta for the 5 minutes.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
we did have a couple. I just want to say, yes, we know the video is lagging just a little bit, but we're good. Emily's all good now. Somebody had a question when you were talking about the different kinds of eggs. You know, it's the same egg. Somebody said, well, what about blue eggs? I did Google just in case. but just in case we weren't ready for that question. But would you like to speak with that or?
Well, to my knowledge, there are no blue chickens.
Yes, yes.
So, and there are different shades of the shell itself. So sometimes you'll even see kind of a rosy pink color. So they will vary. They are all chicken eggs. So, and that's what we're using. So do you have a more intuitive answer there that you'd like to share, Tracie?
Well, just kind of like how, there's different kinds of tomatoes, there's different kinds of chickens. I think that's the best way to explain it. So depending on where you are now, if you have access to like a local farm, sorry, that's our 5-minute warning, the alarm.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes. So while you do that, so like if you have a farmer's market nearby or somebody who has an egg farm and they're selling them and they have all these different kinds, like how delicious, but ideally they look pretty, but they're pretty much the same. Somebody was also saying, Sarah was saying, she thinks dill would be nice with this recipe and she has a lot. Yes. So this is what we're going to say, just for anyone who's, going, I've had carbonara. This is not exactly what I had. And we've had this discussion. So again, what we like to do at Osteoporosis Canada is we take recipes and we make them so that they kind of fit, for a bone healthy diet. But they're supposed to be something where they are versatile. So if you would like to add in, we didn't add in any meat products, any pork products, feel free. Just like Emily said, if you don't like green beans. Now I make this all the time actually, because I'm someone who pasta's in the cupboard, green beans are in my freezer. I always have eggs and I always have grated cheese. And I know Emily is breaking the eggs now. So to your taste, if you like more like spicy, add chili, chopped up chili or chili flakes. It's really, up to you. The only thing we do say is if, the eggs are there for protein, the grated cheese is there for calcium and protein. So those are the important components in terms of like the nutrients for bone health. And also of course the vitamin D with the eggs, a small amount that you're going to get with that. Emily, we're tossing the green beans. I want to make sure this is something that's going to come really quickly together. And Emily and I could talk forever, but
we can,
but we don't
have. I have to cut her off because
I know I don't want to overcook anything. Okay, so go.
So I cracked our 2 large eggs in the bowl and just gave them a little whisk. If you notice, I'm going to crack a couple more eggs, so don't worry if you missed it. But I cracked it on the counter and then put it in the bowl. I don't want to have any shell in the bowl. I want this to be a nice, beautiful, creamy sauce. Shell doesn't work for me in it, so I just cracked both those eggs. I do want to point out these lovely green beans. And I'm going to bring them closer to the camera and hopefully you can see some of that blistering that's on the green beans. So I have a nice little bit of golden brown color and they really take no time at all. By the way, if you need a quick side dish like this with a little bit of garlic, put a little Parmesan on top, great side dish for any meal. I'm going to set this aside for a minute. Okay, we'll come back to it. And then to my eggs, I'm going to add our Parmesan cheese. So I grated some Parmesan cheese ahead of time so that because I kind of knew this was going to happen, that we had to move quickly. So we need half a cup of fresh Parmesan cheese. Now, this could be Canadian Parm, this could be Italian Parm, this could be Grana Padano, it could be an aged Asiago, whatever has a nice big flavor, it's going to work really well. And this is light, fluffy Parmigiano that melts. Okay, so if you have Parmesan that you use at home that when you sprinkle on top of things doesn't melt, that might not be the Parm that you want to use for this. Okay, so I'm just going to whisk this together. I'm going to add a little bit more parsley to this as well, just about a tablespoon. So again, whatever fresh herb you were using, I love the dill, by the way, because that would be beautiful with this. You're going to put some in the green beans and some in here as well. Okay. So just whisk that all together. And then I'm just going to add a pinch of salt to this, just like that, so that everything is seasoned nicely. So this is ready to go. My beans are ready to go. Guess what? Pasta's done too. So I'm going to drain that. I don't know if you saw, I tasted it. That's really the best way to know when your pasta's done. Don't be like my university mates and like throw it up against the wall and then say, oh, look, it's stuck. It's ready. Guess what? It's starch. If you throw potatoes at the wall, they'll stick too. So we're going to drain this
Emily, I've never had that explained so eloquently, but you're right. Please don't throw food at your walls. That's not really what we want to have happen.
No, we don't.
No. And Emily, you know what? I'm just going to tell you, you keep going. We're going to give more info once this is put together. So you just
Okay.
yeah.
Alrighty. So I have my pasta in the colander. I'm adding it to the pot. I drained it and I'm putting it right back into that hot pot. And then I'm putting in the Parmesan and egg mixture into that hot pot. So remember I told you how quick eggs cook? So with this residual heat and the heat of the pasta, everything cooks really, really quickly. And you want to kind of move it around. This pot is hot even on the outside. So I'm just going to grab my tea towel here and stir. Okay. And this is where that creaminess comes from the carbonara, just like that. And then I'm going to add my green beans in here. Okay, so those go in there. So see all that lovely steaminess coming from the green beans as well. And then we get a little bit of color. So if you take a look, as I move the pot, you can see in the bottom of the pot, this is that creamy egg mixture with the cheese melting and the egg creating that lovely sauce. So it really is that fast. This is done. You could eat this right now. However, we're not. I'm going to just set this aside. I am going to cover it to keep it nice and warm. This is a pasta that's called, in Italian, pasta non spetta, which means pasta doesn't wait. So this is one that you want to have kind of, if you're going to warm your bowls for dinner, you can do that, a little bit of warm water. Have everything kind of ready to go and then serve it up. The best part is you can add a little extra Parmesan cheese, which we're definitely going to do, and some more fresh herbs. But I'm going to get my second pot. So normally when I'm doing this, I'm on my stove behind me, which has 4 burners, and I have my pot of water for my pasta. I have my pot of water for my eggs that I'm going to poach, and then I have my skillet. So I have 3 burners kind of going almost simultaneously, where I would have the water for the poaching of the eggs already simmering away. So this won't take long to come up to the boil because I did already boil it, but we're going to poach some eggs because this is something that I get asked often when I teach classes, is how to poach an egg. It's a simple process that if you love poached eggs, this is something that I think that everyone should know how to do. There's been a few times that I've taught a class in person and no one really wanted to ask in the class because I'm happy to answer any questions. And the most kind of question that I get is they come up and they're like, I don't know how to poach an egg. Can you show me how to poach an egg? And again, the benefit of eggs cooking so quickly, I just put on some water and I have the time to show someone how to poach an egg. So this is kind of my fun part. I love poached eggs. So the water is about halfway in this saucepan. I'm going to poach 2 eggs for our 2 servings. Okay, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white vinegar. You don't have to do this. I just find that it helps set the protein of the egg, the whites of the egg a little bit more. You could use a little bit of salt if you wanted to. You could also use a little bit of lemon juice, but you don't need much. It's about a tablespoon in this amount of water, which is about 4 cups. Okay. Now, I saw I was flickering there, Tracie, as well, so I apologize if I'm in and out today. It is summertime. There's summer vacation happening, so guess what? There's kids in the house that may be on the internet, just like at your house. Are there any other questions, Tracie, while I just wait for this water to come to a simmer?
I was actually, you know what I was going to, yeah, you are, we do know. Can you move the pan over just a little bit? Because when you poach the egg, then we could just see.
Yeah, for sure.
Like just over, just a smidge. So we do have a couple of questions. So somebody asked about cholesterol and whatnot. So what I would say is that's something that you should speak to your doctor about or a registered dietitian. So if you have any questions about the diet that you should be consuming, you should do that. The other thing is, I just want to talk about the Parmesan, the Parmigiano right now. the harder the cheese, not all cheese is equal in terms of calcium. So the harder the cheese, the more calcium there is per small serving. So to give you an example, and I just make sure to check it today. So 1 tablespoon of grated Parmesan has 70 milligrams of calcium. So that means 4 tablespoons has 280 milligrams of calcium. If you were you shouldn't be exactly. So that's why there is so much calcium in this recipe. I mean, there's little bits in all the other ingredients, but if you're worried about sodium, and we've had some other recipes where we've used the Parmigiano because you do get so much calcium for such a small amount. It's something where you have to kind of, it's not like this is the only meal that you need to worry about. It's kind of like you plan your day. You know, what other foods will you consume? Can you manage the sodium that way? This isn't something you're necessarily going to eat every day. So that's something that you definitely want to look into. But for the different kinds of cheeses, so Emily mentioned some. If you can't get Parmigiano or you don't want that, there's Romano and Grana Padano. They're both the same type of hard cheese. You don't want like cheddar. It's too soft. That's not going to work. The other tip, which is really good, and Emily, you can speak to this. If you see it's on sale, if you wrap it nicely and put it in your freezer, do it all the time, because it often will go on sale, and then you take it out when you need it, and then you can just grate it yourself and do that. So those were just a couple of questions. And I mean, we have the calcium calculator on the Osteoporosis Canada website, and you can kind of check like different cheeses and how much calcium per serving. Is the water boiling, Emily?
It's getting there.
It's getting there.
It's almost at the, but I have a lovely chunk of cheese here.
Oh,
So, and this is what Tracie's talking about, kind of, you know, purchasing a chunk, and it can be large, it can be small, it could really suit what you need. But the bonus is, because it's a lovely piece of cheese, you can actually break off a little bit and pop some in your mouth as you're cooking. So it's not something that you would buy pre-grated, because you're not really going to munch on that as you're cooking. But this you definitely can. It breaks off really, really nicely like that. So this is my little 70 milligrams of calcium.
Your delicious snack. It's delicious.
It is a great snack, and it's just enough time to get your water boiling.
Who's using the Wi-Fi at your house? Oh my gosh. It's somebody just asked, I missed how much calcium per tablespoon for 70 milligrams. That was Kay. That was the answer. So we're going to go back to Emily, and we're going to poach some eggs.
I'm going to crack another egg. So this is another large egg. You can see I have my water simmering, not too many crazy bubbles. I'm cracking my egg into a bowl. I'm going to lower this in. So if you're worried about your hands, just hold it from the edge here and then just slip it in just like that. You can also do this with a ladle. If you have a ladle, you can do the exact same process. I'm going to do my second one as well. And I don't want this to be a rolling boil, because I don't want to break apart the egg. I just want it to go in there nice and easily and gently cook. So this is where you get to control how done your poached egg is. So there are some people that will go to a restaurant and ask specifically for a 3-minute poached egg, because to them that is the perfect poached egg. It could be 4 minutes, it could be 5 minutes. What you're doing is you're cooking the egg from the outside in. So the longer it cooks, the inside, the yolk, will cook and be a little bit firmer. So if you want that nice creaminess, which we already have that creaminess from the egg and parm mixture that we did, this is going to give us an additional bit of creaminess as we break open the egg and enjoy our pasta carbonara. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. And what you need for this is a slotted spoon, okay, and just a little bit of paper towel. And I'm going to serve up our pasta. So I'm just going to scooch this over for a minute. And I'm going to bring over my bowls like this. And bring my pasta pot back. And serve up that green bean spaghetti carbonara. It's still nice and steamy, still nice and creamy. Okay. I got some big boils happening here. I'm just going to reduce the heat a little bit. Okay. My beautiful carbonara going into the pot. So you'll get the spaghetti first, and then you can add the green beans. Hot. Just like that. Go. A few more. And then we can put a little bit more Parmesan over top. Like so. I also like to add a little bit of fresh ground pepper. That. And then we're going to check our poached egg here. So I'm going to lift it up gently and then just drain off some of that water. I have the paper towel collecting it so that I can bring it, put it right on top. We'll do the same with the other one. I think these are pretty good poached eggs. There we go. And then you can add a little bit more Parmesan on top of the egg and have it melt on top of the hot egg. That. And of course, I like to add just a pinch of salt and pepper to that poached egg as well. Like that. Dinner's ready, or lunch is ready, or breakfast is ready.
So amazing. Are you going to, so we always let Emily do like for all of us, she will taste it, but let's crack into that egg because that yolk also gives you that creamy sauce.
It does. So you just break it open and then you just mix everything together. Okay. So I have my fork and spoon here. So you can do another extra little mix. And then take a little bit of the pasta with the green bean. Use your spoon to twirl.
Everyone's saying yum. Love it. Emily, the reason the camera's not on you is because if you were to eat that with it breaking, it's the image. That
no problem.
It's
all good.
But there we go. And so look at okay, seriously, if we weren't having a chat here, and maybe you like to chat when you cook, this is such a quick meal and it's all, you have all of it. It's so simple. And honestly, Saturday nights, that's the night I really don't want to cook a lot. And I'm whipping this up. Even a lovely, if you had people over, lovely Sunday brunch.
Oh, that would be fabulous. And for those of you that are thinking that the poached egg, it's going to be a last minute thing, what you can actually do is poach your eggs, take them out of the warm water. If you have a bowl of ice water nearby, just chill them really quickly. So you can do multiple eggs if you have a larger group. And then when you go to serve your pasta, have some warm hot water ready on the stove, and then slip them back in to warm them up so that you can top them all.
There we go. There we go. Exactly. So while Emily is enjoying that delicious green bean carbonara, I am going to pull the name for the winner of the apron, and I'm just looking here. So let's do that. Let me just make sure. Whoops, sorry, y'all. As I look, you're seeing me look at my camera here. Okay. Sorry, there we go. Let me just pull the name here. So this is going to, and I apologize if I do not pronounce your name correctly. It's Moigan Ibrahimi from St. John, New Brunswick. So congratulations. I will be calling you. You will be getting one of our aprons. So yay to you. Emily, thank you as always. Everyone, oh my gosh, everyone's like, yay, we're going to try this. Absolutely. And you know what? If your egg scrambles just a little while you're mixing it, Emily, right?
It's all good. It's still delicious.
It's still delicious.
And it just cooked a little bit more. That's all, but it's still wonderful.
Exactly. And I'm just going to quickly share my screen as we just wrap up today. So there we go. All right. Technology is fabulous. All right, here we go. Okay, so this is one of our new recipes, and this was the first new recipe in our new series. So visit the website. We're going to be having more cooking demos, and even depending on where you live, a couple cook-alongs in the fall. So check it out, all new, all different types of recipes that we can do. And, oh, there we go. So I did refer to the calcium calculator. You can get on the website. You can just, it's there just for the foods that have, most common foods that have calcium. You can check how much per serving. Make sure you also check out our podcast, our blog, and also our replay. So this is being recorded. And, you know, if you want to watch this again, or you have someone that you want to share this with, you're all going to be getting the link shortly after this in the next little bit. And we want to thank our partners again, because without our partners, we wouldn't be able to provide awesome content like this. So thank you to Get Cracking. And of course, thank you to Emily. And be sure to subscribe to our e-communications, because this is how you will find out right away. It's the first thing we do. We send it out in our e-news. So just go to our website. It's the top button, press subscribe, and that way you can get info, new recipes, new information on webinars directly to your inbox. And of course, we found some of our new friends on social media, so you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Have a wonderful rest of your summer day and take care, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you on our next cooking demo. Emily, buon appetito, and we will see everyone later. Take care. Bye-bye.